Welcome to Maker's Perspective. Now we're going to be making a switch axis cylinder. I've already wrapped this piece, so this is similar to the X wrap for the previous piece as far as how I got the line on there. The only exception is this has one wrap versus two. Stephen Cox will be assisting me today, and he just heated it up and brought it over. I give it a quick block, and now I'm just pulling my jack line and making a small bubble. One of the things you can notice is this little ball. I also made a neck. Essentially, that neck will allow me to cut it down easier once I transfer it off the pipe. There are a few methods of switching the axis. Usually, I would punny this piece, close off the end, and then pop a hole. But for this one, I wanted to try a little different method. So while still on the pipe, I'll start torching the spots, flipping it back and forth, and then slowly tweeze it open.
Stop. Flip.
Letting it fall off center, and torching it, and then putting a little dent so I know where to torch it. Flipping it back and forth, torching it up and down. By squeezing my tweezers together and pushing into the hot glass, and then opening them up and pulling them out, I slowly pick apart and thin out the bubble in that spot.
Give it a nice flash.
It's important to keep this warm, so I hand it off to Coxie to go flash. Using the oxypropane and just torching that glass, getting it hotter and hotter so that I can open it up and thin it out. Looks like I thinned it out, so now it popped open. Now I'm just rounding and then making sure that there's a nice kind of flat spot for the collar. Going in for the collar, I get a small dip. I hold it up on my way out of the furnace, give it a quick spin, and blow right through it. Then back into the furnace to make sure the pipe is fully open.
Alright, I'm gonna need to right there. Watch out.
I do this by blowing and feeling no pressure. And now that I have a hole, I go over the marver and I mash the sides on.
And then we'll just trade off, you know.
But I still want to have it a slight angle or a little wider at the base. So I peel the glass back, give it a good flat spot with the butt ends of the jacks, and then come on kind of at an angle. Make sure one last blow that there's no obstruction, and I'm ready. I like having the piece hotter than the pipe. So the piece has been nice and flashed, and then I just stick it on,
Push a little bit.
take my diamond shears and have Coxie push against my diamond shears, and then just chew it off. And he'll give it a quick flash. Just taking off any shards from the cut, and now just torching that neck area where I want to cut it. The problem I see with this method is that when you cut that little neck off, you're not able to get a great finishing point of the pattern. If this was a nice cane or reading pattern, you'll be better off doing a different methodology. If you punty, then jack down the neck, and then cut it off by using both the diamond and the straight shears, that's more or less an axis with a punty, you'll get a better termination point, and that is the method that Lino does. Here, I just wanted to speed up the process. So I pull out a little bit, and then I'm just kind of crimping and going all the way around it with my diamond shears. Almost like using it like jacks, just slowly constricting it and getting it down. Once I get it to a spot, then I'll just take my shears and just shear right through it. If you just do it with the diamond shears, chances are it gets cold and you might leave a little hole or a little funky spot. So it's a lot easier right at the termination to just do the final snip with your straight shears. Now that it's on the collar, I heat it up and take it to the marver. I'm just marvering that round ball into a soft cylinder shape. Holding it up and letting it sink back on the collar. That way I have maximum stability for when I gather, and also later for my jack line. You can also see right there how I'm kind of heating it, holding the piece up so that it sinks back to the pipe. Back at the bench, I'll block it and have Coxie cap, and I just want to start making kind of that nice bullet shape with a little bit of extra clear right on the end. So concentrating kind of more on the tip of the piece than on the top. Kind of straightening out the moil a little bit. Did it on the bench, now I'm using the tweezers. That stuff is kind of unnecessary, but I do like to keep everything nice and tidy. And the thought that if I do that the whole time, then hopefully I'm going to have a nice and tidy end object. In the glory hole, I'm still slightly holding it up a bit, just letting it sink back. Got a smaller block, put it in the whole thing, and you can see how the tip is starting to thicken up. It's also getting a smoother transition from the top of the bubble to the moil. More touchy with the moil, and a little cooling with the butt ends of the jacks of the moil. Look for the block that I want, Make sure I have it where I need it, and it's ready to gather on. I go into the furnace fairly steep, go right until the end of the moil and make a few revolutions and come out fairly quickly and strip right away. If you gather too hot, you can lose the piece in the furnace. I like to gather hot, so by coming out of the furnace and trailing, I'm essentially making sure that I don't have any problems. I've seen quite a few peoples either stripping into the furnace and losing the whole thing, or exploding the piece in the furnace since they let it get too cold and waited too long on the piece.
How are their politics?
You know, like, neither one of them voted for.
After cooling it, and because of the way the tail trailed off, I'm going to go into the glory hole right away. Give it a little bit of a hang, drop it out just a little bit, and then block it all back. I want to make sure I collect more glass towards the tip on the bottom. Remember, I'm making a cylinder, so for here on out, everything's pretty similar to how I made the longer cylinder in earlier videos. Collecting that glass a little bit more, making sure that it's where I want it. Grab the newspaper and just kind of scooch it, and you can see I have a nice bit of ice at the bottom. Coming over to the glory hole, I go at a steep angle again. I follow kind of that tip that I've already made, and I just want to cool that back kind of section. That way I can blow up the top and then start to drop it out. Heat it, hang it, paper the back kind of third, and have Coxie blow. You can see how it blows up into a ball, but it also blew out the bottom a little bit. So just to ice it out, I just take a little compressed air and hit the bottom, very bottom, or that tip. With that, I basically have a sphere. I'll heat the whole thing up, swing it down, and I'm going to be putting in my jack line next. Hang it down, give it a little swing, straight up and down with the jack lines, about an inch off the end of the pipe, and then angling out to support the shoulder or the main bubble. And then taking my butt ends of the jacks and kind of supporting that almost neck moil area. It's still quite hot, but by working it hot, I'll be able to make more happen. So I'm not heating as deep. I got a fairly good jack line. Now I'm heating more towards the shoulder and then holding it up so I can drop out the whole thing. By holding up the pipe. Coming out, giving it some swing, little centrifugal force, and back to the paper to smooth out the sides. So I'm back in the glory hole with a quick flash on the moil, but mainly concentrating from the shoulder on down. bit of hang on my way out. Then I take my jack blades, place them on the shoulder, and then have Cox blow and fill out that space
Stop. Cap.
using my jack blades as a mold. Taking the butt ends of the jacks and starting that bottom.
Cap. Good.
That way, I'm now ready to put the blow hose on.
Yeah. No, but it's like it's just a thing you gotta be aware of when you do the turning. When you're doing the turn.
So the flash, and then you can see I'm just heating up that back quarter section in the glory hole.
Time out again to Spotify?
Timed out if that ended.
What?
Looks like it's been playing that long. I don't know, I'll have to check. I don't think it ever does this to us.
Probably 'cause I'm here.
It's because you're here.
So jacks on the side, Cox is on the bottom, just over halfway. I'm giving a slight bit of pressure through the blow hose, and you can see that nice kind of crispness clear on the end.
Good and square.
Yeah, it's
Nice little bit of ice there. I take my paddle, go across, and then give it a kick. Make sure it's nice down there. Finally, torching the moil, neck, and shoulder. Back to the glory hole for a nice deep flash. Cox comes over with a punty. Takes that little bit of glass, about a half-inch gathered, and then squeezes it back. And there I'm making my little bullseye for the punty. This should be about my last flash before I punny it. Take my punny, find the bullseye, put it on as close as possible, and cantilever my blades, one on top, one on the bottom, make sure it rolls nice and smooth, and then switch to my water tweezers. Excess water on the moil, and then one drop, another drop, and a bonk. Cox goes in for a flash, and because of the size and leverage, I'll just be using my paddle to straighten. I come on from the opening area, roll away, and when I see that the high side, I lift up and drag it back to me. Again, I find that high side, lift, and bring it back to me. If I still don't like it, I'll go find the high side, flip at 180, and then push at the bottom. Then one final check by putting my paddle on the very bottom,
That was it for that
making sure that it rolls smoothly and everything looks straight.
Theory's got a lot. I mean, I probably have more hours of theory, you know.
A deep flash in the glory hole, and now just heating up that front quarter section. That's the section that I need to trim, put a lip wrap on, blow out, and then open to finish our cylinder. So a good flash. And then back at the bench, take my tweezers, go around the whole piece, and then start pulling out. You can see that I'm being cautious about how I pull it out. Coming off when I change directions. Then going in and trimming, and just trimming nice and slow. You don't want to rush it.
Way that people really fuck that up too is they'll tweeze it too hot.
So I tweeze one way and then tweeze the other way to carefully straighten the piece. I don't want to put a twist in it. If you tweeze one way and go real fast with the shears, that's a good way to kind of fudge it up and not have a good. So after the flash, I come out, butt ends of the jacks right on the lip, and then open it up just a little bit.
Yep.
I don't want to flash the piece, so I'll just take the MAP gas and just torch the lip good so that it can collect the lip wrap. For this lip wrap, Cox comes over, lets the glass fall off the stick, and I just touch it on and wrap it on 2 or 3 times. Trail it off into the glory hole. So a nice deep flash, and then I can go back to the bench and make sure that the wrap went on nice and even. By placing my jack blades on the outside and then inside, I can assure it and then have Cox come on and paddle. Otherwise, I could trim off any excess or funky spot. You can notice there that I didn't set the piece on the yoke right away, or the pipe. Essentially, I put the piece in the glory hole and then place the pipe gently on the yoke. My view is, if you get it in the heat sooner, that's better, without putting any shock to it or whatnot. So straight to the Soapy
Blow.
and blow up that top quarter section.
Great.
So that flash, and now heating just that top quarter section. So back at the bench, take my jacks and just open it up just a little bit.
On. Good off.
And then I cool the sides.
Puff this next time.
I use the jacks on the sides to cool that so that everything else north of them will be nice and hot and can hopefully expand. Jacks on the sides. Grab the Soapy with the blades, puff, and bring the piece back to me when I'm done with Coxie blowing to the glory hole.
The glass? I like it. I've gotten used to it.
I haven't worked it, so I don't know, but
Yeah.
So just a flash, and now heating up that that top section. Here's another area where you have to pay attention to how you turn so you don't twist it.
Jared struggled a little bit with it. He said
So even at the glory hole, I make sure that I'm really consciously turning both directions. If it was twisted one way, then I would just twist in the way of that twist just to keep it.
he struggled a little bit with it.
But this, I want to keep it straight.
Spruce pine, right? Yeah.
So I go inside, lift open, and every time I change directions, I come off and then reapply pressure. If I was just turning in one direction the whole time, I would twist it up. But by coming off when I change the direction and not just applying force as I open it in one direction, I'll be able to keep the pattern straight. Jacks on the outside,
On.
and then gradually lift open that lip.
One more time and it'll be there.
Just need one more little touch up on the outside and lifting up on the inside of the lip as it's just curled in slightly. To keep it straight, I kept everything kind of gradual. So jacks on the outside, and then going in
On.
and lifting and making sure that it's a nice
Okay up
cylinder.
there?
Back on the outside to follow that contour, make sure I don't feel any bumps. And it looks like it still might just have a little bit
But I think that'll match the other one.
of the curl.
They're just really big, you know?
Yeah.
So on the outside, and just gingerly lifting up
Okay.
on the inside.
Cool beans.
If I would have just heated it and just ripped it open, I would have twisted it. It looks good, so now I'm just going to torch that connection, make sure that it breaks off nice and clean. Into the glory hole for the final flash. Just a drop of water on the connection. Come over to hit it, bonk it straight up and down. You can see how hot it was on the stick. You can also see how the lines of the wrap go, and just torching out the sharp spot of the pine. And there's a switch axis cylinder. Thanks for watching Maker's Perspective. Till next time, cheers.